Welcome back, everybody. Thank you so much for clicking on today's video. Today we're going to be doing a XPeng stock analysis. Before I start the video, guys, please make sure to leave a like on the video below. Subscribe to the channel for more awesome content. Join the family, guys. Let's go on our investor journey together. So today we're going to be doing an XPeng stock analysis. And obviously, I do think XPeng stock is a buy at $43.25. Obviously, everything I say in my videos is not financial advice. It's just my personal opinion. But the reason I think XPeng should be picked up at these prices because, XPeng does have a lot of long-term potential, and I do see a huge growth story from the stock in itself. Looking at the 5-year chart, this thing just IPO'd recently, August 26th of 2020. We can see here that XPeng, did really have a huge run up, around November, and it's kind of slowly been sinking ever since. Looking at the 3-month chart, up 111%. And XPeng is also a huge growth stock, and like I said, I do see a lot of long-term potential with XPeng as a company. Looking at the 1-month chart, only down 6%, and looking at the 1-week chart, it is down 4.67%. Now, we have taken a look at what XPeng actually does. XPeng is an EV company that's also based out of China. Definitely been gaining a lot of traction lately, along with the rest of the EV market in itself. A lot of people are really looking towards battery power, and they're really looking at the evolution of what battery power can actually do. XPeng, another EV company, it's based out of China, really is making a name for itself, really is trying to expand as much as possible, and really trying to gain the trust of investors and people all around the world. XPeng currently selling 2 vehicles. It's the P7, which is a sedan that basically replicas the Model S and Tesla's Model S, and then we also have the G3, which is a SUV. Now, the reason I think XPeng stock is a good buy at $43.34 is not only is there really rising expansion of the overall EV market industry and basically a lot of EV market maturity, but specifically in China, the EV market is really starting to evolve. They do expect 20% of all car sales to be electric cars by 2025, and they expect that number to jump up to 50% by the year of 2035. So the growth for the EV market is definitely there, and I know that there's going to be a spot for XPeng. Even analysts coming out basically saying that XPeng is going to be a top EV company, and it's going to be a top EV company definitely representing China. Now, XPeng, there's been a lot of interesting news recently with XPeng stock. As you guys know, XPeng is making the move to start expanding, right? They started selling cars in Norway, which is definitely a huge stepping stone. Definitely when it comes to the EV market maturity and the EV market expansion, XPeng taking that next step by really trying to get its grasp on the world, just expanding itself out of China, starting to sell cars in a different market, definitely in Europe as well. There's also a rise and a growing EV industry there as well, and people are really looking towards battery power to kind of lead us into the next decade. This is why I do think XPeng stock is a good buy at $43.45. Like I said, that's a big stepping stone, especially when it comes to the Chinese EV game. XPeng being the first Chinese EV company to start selling cars outside of China really did put a good brand name on itself. And we did get a recent look at XPeng deliveries. XPeng deliveries went very, very well. They obviously delivered more than they actually expected to. And even in their last quarter, they did deliver more than they actually expected to as well. So we can definitely see that XPeng stock is growing. And I do think that XPeng stock is going to continuously grow through the year of 2021. Like I said, with the rising expansion of the EV market in itself and XPeng consistently hitting its delivery estimates, consistently growing, and the biggest thing is consistently expanding. Like I said, taking that big step to start selling cars into Norway was a huge stepping stone for XPeng as a company and XPeng stock in itself. Now, the reason why I do think XPeng stock is a buy at $43.49, aside from the EV market maturity and the overall demand rising, and XPeng doing its part as an EV company, really trying to expand as fast as possible and sell as many cars as possible, is just due to the simple fact that, XPeng stock, it is going to be a top EV company, especially when it comes to China. Now, I think what XPeng actually does need to work on, and it's kind of like a downside of XPeng, is XPeng is actually in last place as far as car sales goes out of the 3 Chinese EV companies. You do have NIO, which is leading in number 1, followed by Li Auto, which is number 2, and XPeng, which is number 3. Now, I know XPeng is working really, really hard to be at the number 1 spot, and I do think that XPeng stock probably does have the potential to be bigger than NIO. Only time is really going to tell which one really prevails, but right now, NIO is definitely looking like it's going to be the top EV company of China, but I would not discount XPeng as a company in itself just yet. I know XPeng does have a lot to offer, and like I said, their sales are also increasing as well. They're also trying to expand as fast as possible. XPeng beating NIO to actually expanding into a different territory outside of China really does put XPeng in a very good position to really start growing from here. If you guys have taken a look at XPeng's vehicles, you know, they're very high tech, they're very up to date, and XPeng also working on a self-autonomous driving system as well. If you guys just recently saw that XPeng did sign a deal with a radar company, really trying to perfect the self-autonomous driving system, really trying to be the first person out there who develops the self-driving chip and really gets on top of that. So XPeng is growing in all the right directions, trying to expand as fast as possible and really trying to get its name out there as fast as possible as well. So where does this leave XPeng stock basically in the year of 2021? Basically, where do I think that XPeng stock is going to go into the 2021? I do think that XPeng stock is going to revisit its all-time highs around $75, and I do think XPeng stock does have the potential to hit $100 in the year of 2021. Like I said, with XPeng really taking the leap to start expanding, trying to sell more vehicles as much as possible, really working on the self-driving system and really trying to perfect it as well. You know, the self-driving chip in itself is a huge catalyst for the EV game, and a lot of companies are racing to perfect it. XPeng really trying its hardest to really get out there and really just trying to perfect its overall company in itself really does show a lot of merit for XPeng in itself. Now, I do think XPeng stock is going to hit $100 just due to the simple fact that on top of its perfection of the self-autonomous driving system, or at least trying to, like I said, XPeng is doing a great job of selling more vehicles, right? You can see that their delivery estimates are consistently growing. XPeng as a company is consistently growing, and on top of all that, it's just the overall EV market maturity and the demand is starting to grow a lot more. I do think that in the year of 2021, I do think that these EV companies are going to see all-time highs just because, like I said, you know, these companies have been growing so much and they have been basically getting a lot of attention from big-time investors. Even a lot of big-time investors have said that XPeng is going to be a top EV company and that XPeng is probably going to be a good representative as well. So really, I do think that people should be picking up XPeng stock at $43.46. I do see a lot of upside potential, and I also do want people to know, if you are investing in XPeng, it's going to be more of a long-term play. I want people to know, you know, that these companies do not grow overnight. If you take a look at Tesla, it did take a really long time for Tesla to get where it is today, basically being a $750 billion market cap. You know, these companies are not going to achieve that overnight. Tesla didn't see a profitable quarter for over 15 years. But with XPeng, I knew this company does have the potential to be a lot bigger. And I know this company is going to be growing a lot from here. And I do recommend people actually pick up the shares while they're still relatively cheap. With that being said, guys, that's all I really have to say about the video. Let me know down in the comment section below, guys, what you think of XPeng stock. Do you think XPeng stock is a good buy at $43.44? If you guys own XPeng stock, how many shares do you guys own and what's your average? I'm always very curious to know. With that being said, guys, thank you. Have a great day.